me being my fullest self and expression allows me to have more of me to give and to water you with.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one of the paradigms I've been doing my best to help shift with people. Is just
I've got a curiosity, and it's not an easy question to answer, I don't think, but in some ways it is. How would you describe love?
Wow. I would describe love like watering a flower. That's how I see it. And I had a moment that gave me this experience, but I had a moment where when my twin flame moved out,
Mm-hmm.
she turned my house into a home. She put plants in it, decorations. It was no longer a bachelor pad.
Mm.
And so when she was moving out, she was going to take the plants. And I was just like, no, leave that. Like, it looks good, And she's like, but are you going to water it? I'm like, yeah, I'll water it. She's like, make sure you water. I'm like, yeah, I promise I will. I'll do it every day, whatever you want me to do.
Yeah.
And sure enough, when she left, I was watering the plants like I'm supposed to. And then after a few weeks, there was this one plant that just started to die.
Just suffering.
And I didn't understand why. I was before that point, I was never a green thumb type person.
Mm-hmm.
So this plant started to die, and I'm like, what's going on? So I start giving it more water, dying even more, light, dying even more. And I hit up my ex. I'm like, I don't know what's happening. I'm doing all the things. Why is it dying?
Mm.
And because now all of a sudden it's like I went into this like, before it was just a plant, but now I was in a rescue mode because I'm like, I don't want it to die. It's like something happened to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, you have to connect with it too, I'm like, what do you mean connect with it? And she's like, just connect to it, talk to it. I'm like, you want me to talk to the plant? She's like, just do it. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll take your advice. So the way I did that is I gave my plants names. It allowed me to personalize them, personify.
There's one right behind me called Intimacy.
Amazing.
I'm sure you know exactly which one I'm talking about right now.
Yeah. And
I don't know if it's not on camera actually. So it's a giant.
I can arrange that.
Yeah, well, there's a giant, like 8.5 foot tall cactus right behind me, and I call this cactus into me I see, or intimacy.
I love it.
Yeah. So
I had named the plant in question Rosie because it had these rose colored petals.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to talk to it. Now I'm like, okay, I could call you Rosie. I started to talk to it, send energy to it. And then sure enough, the very next day, all of a sudden, not only did it re-blossom, but it was healthier than it's ever been. And I was so happy. I was so happy that it was healthy and that it was blossomed and alive that I'm like, this is love. That was the moment that I'm like, this is love. Because I didn't want it to give me anything. I wasn't wanting anything from it other than its own blossom, other than its own happiness.
Wow.
And I realized in that moment, I'm like, that's what true love is. It's for me to water you. I want you in your fullest blossom. I want to just provide, and and me enjoying your blossom is fulfillment for me.
Yeah.
That's
just witnessing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you made me realize that that's exactly the experience I've had running the farm.
Mm.
People, I mean, I can rationalize 1,001 reasons why owning a farm and running a farm and investing in a farm is super vital and important and financially viable, and so many long-term bets that I can explain and rationalize and express 1,000 times over. And I don't think I've been running this farm for 8 years. We've done 8 seasons now. And I wasn't really running the whole time. Most of the time it was other people really doing it. But I started. I was there day one, right? And I only this year would say I actually was farming. That I was actually participating in the act and the love and the dance that it is to farm.
Interesting.
Because I think that I was treating the balance between like, okay, I'm going to put this here and it's going to have this function.
Yep.
And it's going to be beautiful in this way and and I was learning about like companion planting, right? Like tomatoes planted next to asparagus planted next to basil do really well, and they kind of keep each other's pests away, and they take different nutrients from the soil. They kind of provide nutrients to one another in so many ways. So there's companion planting that works in a very powerful way. Sometimes companion planting is just like There's something called the Three Sisters, for example, where one of them is kind of a squash on the ground that covers the ground so it keeps it from getting dry. And then you've got corn that grows tall. So you now all of a sudden you have something covering the ground. You've got corn that's growing tall, and you have beans that are kind of climbing up the corn, so they all get to live in harmony with one another.
Yep.
Right. And so these, I understood that logically. Right. Like I've heard a definition of love. I've seen representations of love through movies or stories or books, whatever. Even people. Right? Even watching or witnessing ceremony. But it's not the same to witness, to understand, to read, to kind of mental process something versus to truly feel, which is kind of the second tier of it. And then it's to like, it's just, I mean, I guess the word that's coming to me right now is just be.
Yep.
It's just like purely this emanation of love coursing through. That's just, I'm not planting you because you have this function. I'm not planting you because I believe your fruit is going to nourish me in this particular way. And I can understand those things, but they are all secondary, and like big time secondary compared to just, wow, I just want to witness you in your fullest expression.
Yes.
And I don't want to change you. I don't want to shape you. I don't necessarily want to do anything other than witness it. And yeah, as you grow, I'm going to be curious as to how I can support or how I can aid, how I can participate and dance alongside you in that dance.
Yeah.
And I say you because you can mean anyone or anything or anything that's living, and everything is living.
Yep.
Including this table.
Uh-huh.
And so this vibration that you put out, that only really recently do I feel like I've tapped into any essence of love in any way, shape, or form.
Interesting, yeah.
That I'm now fully experiencing the two-way street that this has now created.
That's beautiful.
And so many of us are looking for this two-way street, trying to drive it down. Like we're just trying to go one way down it. Like, please just get us there. And we're searching. And like we're in a state of consumerism because that's the world that we've kind of learned around us, where we believe that we can buy our way, try our way, find our way through something. But I don't know that it's through any of those things that we really just like be our way, just like receive and give kind of effortlessly. Not even kind of effortlessly.
Yep.
With that feeling it's just in flow. It's just purely going right in and out. I don't know that I can explain it, but it is absolutely beautiful.
You know what it is too is I remember I heard Sadhguru. He gave a definition on love where he said, love is the sweetness of emotion. And I just love that description. It's the sweetness of emotion. Because it really is, right? It's got a certain sweetness to it.
Yeah.
And where I think a lot of people have gone off with love is that a lot of people have defined love as self-sacrifice.
Yes, I did that forever.
So have I.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's rampant in the world where people think that love is, I'm going to do things for you at the expense of myself because I want you to be happy, which means that since I'm doing things at the expense of me, I'm being less of me. I'm only 10% of who I actually am, which means I only actually have 10% to give to you, which isn't the fullest love you could be offering, right? For me, love is not self-sacrifice. It's self-honoring. Right? You know, it's me being my fullest self and expression allows me to have more of me to give and to water you with. And so that's one of the paradigms I've been doing my best to help shift with people is just, especially with women, you know, who have this belief that if I give everything to the man and I do everything for the man, I put everything aside for him. How come he's leaving me? How come he's cheating me? Right? Well, because you're sacrificing yourself. So you're being sacrificed.
You're playing the martyr.
Exactly.
One of you is the victim, one of you is the princess or the damsel in distress or the prince, and like it's one of you just playing this role. And sometimes that switches halfway through. Sometimes you're in like this state in part of the relationship and the other state in another part of the relationship. But realistically, one of you is the martyr of sorts, is what you're saying.
Absolutely. Yeah. So instead, my viewpoint is I'm going to be me as fully and uniquely as I can be. And I want you to do the same, to be you as fully and uniquely as you can be. And in that experience where you feel like yourself, you feel love, right? That's where you just feel high on life. You feel happy. You're like sending appreciation letters to people that you haven't talked to in a while, right? You're in that state, so this is where, I always say, like, your only purpose is to shine. When people are looking for their purpose, I'm like, you want to know your purpose? Look at the sun. Your purpose is to shine. And as a side effect, shining meaning just being the unique you as fully as you can be, being love. As a side effect of you shining, like the sun, you're going to help people. You're going to heal people. You're going to inspire. You're going to warm hearts, attract tribes as a side effect.
Yep.
Without it being a focus point. So that's how I've garnered the flow of my life. That's how I've what's allowed me to, I guess, be love in the ways that I am without it having to be a rigid discipline. It's just natural for me. It's a blisscipline. Right?
Love that word. Blisscipline.
It's a blisscipline. Is I focus on my shine and I want you to shine. That's it. I don't, and I've learned the hard way that love is not a possession, right? I've learned the hard, like it's tough, right? It's tough when you're with an amazing person that is like you. It's one thing to be in a toxic relationship. That's really hard to let go of too. But when you're with someone, like for example, with me and my ex, I was in a 10-on-10 relationship, 10-on-10 friendship, sex, business, everything, laughter, 10-on-10. And I knew from day one, and I told her, I know that you're not my forever person.
Wow.
Because I had already had the telepathic communication and I knew it wasn't her. But I knew that there was lots of growth that can happen here. So I made that clear from the beginning. I'm like, hey, this is my truth. This is what I see. This is what I feel. What do you think? Yep, I'm down. Let's go. Cool. So this allowed us to explore what love without attachment really looked like, knowing that it was one day going to end.
Yeah, actual unconditional love.
Actual unconditional love. And the letting go, that was the hard. But to let go of a 10-on-10, that took me, 2 years?